Okay, so you have loaded the data now and have hopefully looked through for some flaws that could prevent us from asking and getting the correct answers to questions. So here's the table that we've loaded. I'm going to walk through the things that I found that are problematic with it. First, I just want to have a look together at the original source table from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. So this is where this data comes from. I scraped it using some code to automatically pull in the data from a web page. And this is opioid summaries by state. So it's got the number, it's got this nice map with the opioid overdose death rate, the rate of people per 100,000 dying from opioid overdose. You can see that it's really concentrated in the upper Appalachia. And this is the table. So why do we have these really, long column names? Well, the table had these really long column names. So all of the flaws that we see in this data are actually something that existed in the real world. So if you want more details about what it shows, the opioid-involved overdose deaths or prescriptions, that's here. Okay, so let's walk through some of what what I found and hopefully what you found too. So the first is that the column names are incredibly complicated. So opioid dot involved dot overdose deaths dot 100,000 dot persons one, like 6 dots, and then 2018. This one is slightly no less better. All these dots, the length, these are going to make it hard to use these columns in functions. So that's the first flaw. We're going to want to clean those up. The next flaw is that the scraping process introduced a blank row in the middle. So you can see row 41 here just has nothing but NAs. We want to get rid of that. We've also got this other row just above where it says, the entry for state and each of the overdose deaths and the prescription rate say not included, did not meet inclusion criteria. And again, I just want to show you this actually existed in the table on the web. That's this bar all the way across. And it's speaking to some other flaws in this data, so we'll look at that in a second. Okay, so for 10, I think it's actually 11 out of the 50 states, we've got this asterisk for opioid-involved overdose deaths. So this was a case where the calculation of the rate of opioid deaths in these states did not meet statistical criteria for them to be able to release it. So as we'll look at when we clean this up below, this doesn't mean 0. What it means is NA for our purposes. Okay, what else do we have here? Blank in the middle, asterisk. Okay, and then one other problem, and hopefully you saw this when you glimpsed it, is that the columns that have numbers in them, opioid-involved overdose deaths and prescriptions, were read in as character columns, and this is because right now, before we've cleaned it up, they actually include things that are text. So an asterisk is a text, is text. This word here, this sentence here is text. And so because it contained that, R made a guess on how we should treat this column, and it treated it as a character, but we're going to need to convert those to numeric columns. Okay, so hopefully those are some of the things that you identify, but I do just want to show you how if we didn't want to clean and wanted to jump directly to a question, say what's the average rate of opioid prescriptions in 2018. I'm just going to drop in a function that will allow us to do that. So I'm summarizing average death rate, creating a new column called average death rate, and calculating the mean opioid prescriptions. And when I run that, we get an error basically saying it can't find that column. This column name is so funky, I could never get it exactly right how to include it. So again, that's why we're doing this, because it may introduce flaws. It may prevent us from asking questions, or if we actually get an answer to a question, it may be incorrect. So, okay, so before moving on, remember what I wanted you to do was to write out the flaws that you saw here. So go ahead and write those now.